YouTubers, how you doing? Today, we are going to talk about two topics that I'm going to meld into one topic. And I'm going to start by saying that towards the end of this presentation today, I'm going to inform you as to who the most impressive professional athlete of all time is. And folks, in my opinion, based on my clinical judgment, et cetera, it ain't even close. It's not even a contest. This person has this title tied up in a nice little bow, game, set, match. The fat lady has sung. Any other saying you want to throw in there, that's how I feel about it. And I don't want to give you any hints, but I would say that most of y'all who watch sports, you know this name. I'm going to guess none of you will guess it now, but as I talk about our second topic, some of you might start catching on to how I'm thinking. And I think once I present my oral arguments to you, a lot of you are going to agree with me. Some of you won't. Whatever. Leave it in the comments. I'm receptive to hearing other people's arguments. I think that's cool. The second topic that we're going to talk about and kind of meld into this conversation is going to be how to teach you how to be aware of what your training routine and what your physical activity routine should be and how it should change as you age. What do I mean by that? I mean making the appropriate adjustments and looking at our situation based on our physiology. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, ladies and gents, so fun topic today. Who is the most impressive athlete, professional athlete of all time? I'm thinking I've got two honorable mentions and I've got one that's got the solid number one spot. And I'm giving you, of course, a little bit of a bias from being a healthcare professional, so keep that in mind. So as I'm talking about this, if you kind of change your opinion based on the criterion that I'm talking about, write it down, keep it in your mind, see if you agree with me. So what are my criterion for the most impressive professional athlete? Number one, they've got to dominate their respective sport. They've got to be winners. Winners of titles, winners of championships, or on championship teams, medalists, you name it. Top of the sport, dominating. And I would also argue too, not just winning one time, being able to do it multiple times is impressive. Number two, versatility. I'm impressed by speed, strength, endurance, physical intelligence, and superior body awareness. You know, when you just see that athlete when they do something and you just say, what in the hell just happened? How were they able to do it? That's the kind of impression that needs to be left on me for me to say, like, wow, this is impressive. So think about those two things. You should already have athletes forming in your mind. But here's the third criterion that's going to kind of bias you or sway you a little bit. Longevity. So I'm impressed by someone who not only dominates difficult sports, I guess, but is able to do it for a long time. And this gets a bit squirrely because this presents a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a bias, because there are a lot of sports out there that are brutal. In the professional circuits for these sports, I am amazed at how these athletes can make it through one season, never mind multiple seasons. The National Football League, the NFL, in the rehab community, by the way, it doesn't just stand for the National Football League. The joke is NFL stands for not for long. And for good reason. The average career in an NFL for an NFL professional can't be more. I'm going to guess it can't be more than 3 or 4 years. Other professional sports, the NBA, Major League Baseball, they have long and brutal seasons. And I'm really impressed if people can last through long seasons and come up winners again and again. And ladies and gents, this is where I'm going to tie in the physiology of my patient population and tie it all into a bow in terms of how this relates to our best of edition here. I read an article in the early 2000s, and I'm really pissed because I can't find it. I don't have a subscription to Medline anymore. But I want to tell you the gist of the article really, really quickly. It was early 2000s, and it basically said, and I remember it left a really big impression on me, is that when we hit a certain age, our body's cellular structures, particularly the cells that help repair our muscles after we have a workout, after we play in a game, these cells, once we hit around the age of like 35 to 40, the actual physical sizes of these cells, tenocytes, tenoblasts, other reparative cells, they, under a microscope, once we hit about 37 or so, they lose a lot of their size, like 50% or even more. So the cells become smaller and they're less effective. And if you think about that, that should drive how you train as a regular person who likes to work out, or as a professional athlete. What does this mean, like in terms of the big picture? You need more time to recover. And the most practical example of this that I can tell you that relates to me, when I was in my 20s, when I did an intense workout, let's say with free weights, for example, the next day I would feel, like the delayed onset muscle soreness in my muscles. It would take a day or so to go away, and then I'd be good to go. Now that I'm in my 50s, if I get a good workout in on Monday, I am sore on Tuesday, I am sore on Wednesday, and sometimes I'm even sore on Thursday. So I need a longer rest time in between when the workouts happen and when I can hit it again. And a lot of my patient population, as they age, they don't understand that. And it's one of the things that I have to sit down with them and say, listen, you need to reassess how you're doing and what you're doing. And I will usually tell them, write down what you do during the week and let's look at this objectively. The one thing that I tell patients, and some patients give me crap for this, but the rule that I use is that once you are past that age of 37 to 40, you should have 2 or maybe 3 days during the week where you don't do any workouts. Now, I'm not saying you can't go for a brisk walk or something like that, but there should be 2 or 3 days a week of recovery that you get in there. And you want to make sure you got to listen to your body, ladies and gentlemen. If you're still having pain from a workout and that delayed onset muscle soreness hasn't subsided, or even if it feels a little pathological, if you're thinking like, oh, hey, my shoulder doesn't feel so fantastic after doing those inclines or those presses, wait it out. Give your body the extra time. Your body's going to thank you. All right, let's take all this criteria and put it together and think now, who is the most impressive athlete that you can think of? I've got 2 honorable mentions that are definitely should be in the conversation with this. Number 1 is going to be Wilt Chamberlain. The guy was insane. He was a beast. He averaged 30 points a game in the NBA, and I believe over 20 rebounds a game. And he lasted a while too. He played until he was 37 years old, which consequently, what we just talked about, when the reparative cells start to change, it's about 37. So it kind of fits the mold. And he was on record as saying that, he physically was just beat down from these NBA seasons. Now, I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. If any of you guys know, send me a link and let me know, or send me a little message. I'm not sure they had as many games in the NBA season as they do now, but it was still a lot. So still very impressive. And Wilt Chamberlain was also, in his youth, was a fantastic track athlete. He had a lot of versatility. He had some longevity. I think he just got beat down due to the nature of the sport that he plays. And of course, he was in Conan the Destroyer, the movie, which is one of my favorite movies growing up. Good job, Wilt. Kudos. Honorable mention number 2. Sorry, haters. I've got to mention his name. It's Tom Brady. People hate him for a million different reasons, but you have to admit, my God, very impressive. He knew how to train. He knew how to last. 7 Super Bowls? 7? His last one, I believe, was with Tampa Bay, and he was 43 years old. You can't do that without being impressive in every category that we talked about. So, Deflategate, other things that NFL fans will argue about. Yeah, I mean, whatever. He's still one of the most impressive athletes of all time. Have you thought who maybe my number one pick is going to be? I did drop a hint during the little intro there when I said game, set, match. Here's another hint. Kind of a curveball, but not really a curveball. It's a woman. Who are we talking about? The answer, our winner of the most impressive professional athlete of all time is Martina Navratilova. Some of you kids are wondering, who is this person? I feel let down by what you're saying, Dan. Look her up. This just a sick athlete. The number one crowning achievement in terms of physiology and being able to last in longevity. She won mixed doubles Wimbledon, I believe. So it was one of those major tournaments at age 49. I dare anybody else out there to find something similar to that. I've looked around. There's other ones that are impressive, but to win a major tennis tournament such as Wimbledon at age 49, I don't care if it's mixed doubles. It's two people. I remember someone argued to me and they said, well, the other person could have no way the other person can compensate. That's not even really a team sport. It's two people. Both of those people have to be superior athletes in order to pull off that feat. And to do it at age 49 is absolutely crazy. If you also see how many total titles she won, she dominated the sport. She won so many of those Grand Slam events. I think she won every one of them. And she also played doubles and she played mixed doubles. And go onto YouTube or go onto any platform and just find a clip of her talking about training. Everyone who wants to be an athlete after the age of 30 should listen to what she says in terms of how she trains. The basic gist of what she's saying, and I'm paraphrasing it, is that she trains smarter, not harder. You can't train at the level that a 25-year-old trains for a professional sport when you're 45 years old. It just doesn't work. Your body will break down. You'll develop tendonitis, tendinopathy, and a host of other possible horrible things that could happen to you. If you train smarter and you don't train harder, you're going to last. Even for you and me, take this into account. Thanks again for listening, guys. Subscribe, rate, review. If you have some other topics in terms of the best of, maybe we can start a best of series, because I know YouTubers love that stuff. Give me a topic. I'll research it. Thanks again.